What's up, guys? I haven't posted in a while. I am gonna share something that I've been holding off sharing for actually since before Living Streams Daily launched. I have other video channels that I would have posted to, but I've been holding off on this for about a year and a half now. I didn't want to post it because I didn't want it to be tarnished with like personal grievances that I was dealing with at the time. So I have to get this posted. I need to get it off my not just off my chest, but I kind of felt like it was like maybe the Lord told me to do it, and I feel like it needs to get said. And I want to talk about ghosting. So a little less than a couple years ago, I had a friendship with somebody, and I was very suddenly ghosted, and it hurt a great deal. And on the other end of that friendship, they were probably hurting, I guess, because it was a female, and I saw them as a romantic interest and a potential spouse, and but honestly, I hadn't been that close to anybody as a friend, so consistently interacting with somebody in ever. Like, I'd never been that close to anybody, even though it was mostly over texting. It hurt. So I was dealing with a grudge, and I woke up one morning, and the Lord told me, you know, He told me, "You've done this yourself, John. You're not so innocent." And He said, "You did that with your own uncle." So let's rewind. So about so when I was about 19, 20 years old, I was expelled from Bethany College of Missions missionary school, and I got expelled for no particular reason, just a pattern of selfishness, and I lacked social skills, and it was just they didn't like me. I mean, there's more to it than that. It was legit. They expelled me, but yeah, I was steal from the kitchen and stuff. Anyway, now I was living in some old guy's attic, trying to make ends meet. I had gotten into computers, and so now I was going to try to be a web designer. This is when the internet was just starting to take off. There were no smartphones. My uncle reached out to me, or I reached out to him, I don't remember, but somehow we met up online. Email was the means of communication back then. They didn't have texting. And my uncle, I'll tell you what, my uncle is my dad's brother. Uncle Steve is his name. My late uncle, now late uncle. He was, at the time, my grandparents lived where my parents now live, and my uncle lived in an RV, a mobile RV, a motorhome that was parked on my grandparents' driveway, which is where my RV is parked on my parents' same house driveway. Literally, I'm sitting in geographical location exactly where my uncle would be sitting when I was 19 years old, as he was doing his work. How funny is that? And so he reached out to me, or one of us reached out to each other, and I let him know that I was on my own. I was trying to make ends meet as a web designer, and he tried to help me. And he was trying to encourage me and coach me. He said basically, so at the time he's an illustrator, he has a painter, and I actually I had a painting of his. He used to hang, and specifically it was of yachts, like motor yachts. About a decade later, I worked for a magazine called Power and Motor Yacht magazine. So it's very possible I worked with the same magazine that he used to do illustrations for. It's really interesting. But anyway, yeah, so he did illustrations for yacht manufacturers and for magazines. And he said basically, I might have an opportunity for you to do some web design work for my client. And I got excited, and so then he started sharing me some stuff, material to work with, and I started to prepare myself. And then part of my preparations, I gave him a hint of how my sales pitch, basically, and he gave me feedback about my tone. And I was in a place of extreme. I was disoriented. I was very, very insecure because I had just been expelled from college, and in my pride. I don't know why I said prime. It's just pronounced the same. In my pride, I couldn't handle feedback. I literally I wanted to be independent. I had a very arrogant attitude about this whole situation, and so I cut him off. I said I don't want to be told how to present myself. I'll do me, thanks. And I can't explain it. There's no justifying it. I basically rejected his help in the long run. It was only a couple more exchanges. I was pretty much done with him, and I basically said I don't want to talk to you anymore. And I ghosted him. I told him just don't talk to me anymore. Every time he emailed me, I replied to him. I asked you to stop emailing me. And then pretty soon I set up a rule on my email client to auto reply with and delete his emails. In my mind, I wanted to stop thinking about him. I wanted to reject all of his influence. In a way, you could say he was dead to me. He took on different persona. He tried taking on a different persona. He basically do the equivalent of a blog. They didn't have blogs back then. He wrote a blog, a newsletter of sorts, in this false persona, and sent it to me as if he was sending out to the world. I would never have signed up for this, and that's how I knew it was him. And I replied, Steve, I know it's you. I asked you to stop contacting me. Eventually, after a couple of those, he gave up. So fast forward a few years, 2 or 3 years. My grandparents passed away. My parents moved in and retired there into that house. Uncle Steve was still parked in the driveway for another year or two, and I went to go visit my parents. So yeah, Uncle Steve was here, and we saw each other. Head nod. I didn't apologize or anything like that. I had my laptop. I was kind of hunkering down playing StarCraft. He came in to visit my dad and just talk, and I was tuning him out. I was in the living room with him, but I was tuning them out. But I did eventually overhear him say my name. He said, and I quote, "It took 1.5 years for me to get over John before I stopped thinking about him and how much that hurt." His wife had left him before he reached out to me at the beginning. His wife had left him. His daughter had gone astray. She became LGBTQ, and about a decade later, he died of a heart attack. And you could say he died of a broken heart. I am very sorry to my Uncle Steve for doing that to him. Let me tell you something. Ghosting hurts. Ghosting is a form of hate. And the Bible says if you hate a brother, it's as murder. And I did that out of pride and selfishness and insecurity. There's other ways, guys. Don't ghost people. I'm out of time. God bless you guys.